Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. How's everyone doing today on wonderful Wednesday? It's another great day to be alive and truly another gift, not only that we can receive gifts, but also give them out to as well. Welcome, everyone, to our Bringing Humanity Together live stream. This is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella. People can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues that are out there that are facing people today because it is our goal, our mission, our purpose, and our calling to both work with employers and employees to bring humanity back into the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Feel free to invite your friends, coworkers, even those lazy coworkers that says, "Hey, it's wonderful Wednesday. It is Conversation for Humanity. I gotta watch. I gotta watch." Bring them along too. We love to have them all. And just remember, if you even share this on the replay, use the hashtag replay on the share, whether it be on our Facebook business page or LinkedIn Live, which is my personal page, or on our YouTube channel. And just remember, as always, Tuesday is Share and Care with Sandy. I host Conversation for Humanity on Wednesday, and Carla Finnegan, who will be on shortly, hosts Humanity Happy Hour every Thursday. As you jump on, feel free to comment in the chat on any platform that you're watching on, like I said, Facebook, LinkedIn Live, or YouTube, and let us know where you're watching from. And also, if you need show topics, or if you have a question or concern, or even if you want to join us on the live stream, we'll love to have that great and engaging conversation with you, and definitely we'll get you on board onto the live stream too as well. And again, like I said, if you're watching this on the replay, use the hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching from, and we'd definitely like to have that meet and greet with you too as well. So, hello, Miss Sandy. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm much happier today and far less frustrated, Chris. So.
Well, something must be going on because from what I hear, it's good news.
It is good news. Finally got my business email up and running again, and it took about a week for these guys to sort it out. It was just
wow.
It was just horrible. But anyway, I never had this much trouble because when I've had an issue before, usually they solve it pretty quickly, but this really didn't get solved very quickly, and I was getting very frustrated because I couldn't even get onto the webmail access of my emails because they had a firewall blocking me out of that too. So apparently that's all fixed now. So I don't need to worry. Absolutely. When I go to Toronto, I have to access my emails using the internet. So it's all fixed now because this one guy took care of it. He was really good.
Oh, nice.
He was, sort of constant, and, he just kept trying different things. And finally, I said to him, "It exploded."
Wow. So what was the outcome? Did they say it was on your end, their end? What was going on?
It was definitely on their end, Chris, not on my end. And that's why they had to fix it. So anyway, it's up and running again, and I'm quite happy. So at least I don't need to worry about not getting my business emails, which was a big concern. And also there was some funny stuff going on with my website too. It was getting stuck. So anyway, that's all fixed too. So I don't know, it was, I guess, all tied together, whatever was going on with them. But anyway, it's fine now. My website's fine now too. So we're good. Yeah, it was a bit scary. Because I've used these guys literally for years because Nathaniel originally hosted my website.
Right.
And my email, but then he decided he wasn't going to do that anymore. And so he put all his clients onto Green Geeks.
Right.
And as I said, I always thought they were fine. And if there was a problem, I always either emailed them or called them. And usually they fixed it, just like that. But not this time. This was it was a disaster. I must have talked to 3 or 4 different people in the chat, and I talked to 2 different people on the phone. But Will, I talked to a couple of times, and he also talked to my techie, because Randy came over here the other day. And Randy said to me too, he said, "It's all on their end. They got to fix it." He says, "There's nothing I can do here." I went, "Okay, Fine. So I'm going to phone him later today and tell him it's all fixed.
Right.
He'll like that. He'll think it's funny, but it's okay.
Well, I'm just glad you got your emails back because I know that was probably just so frustrating for you. I know when technology doesn't work, it makes me want to throw the kitchen sink at it, and that's what sometimes that's what happens. But then when technology really works and it works well, thank the Lord it does.
I
Because
agree.
sometimes what we can do without it.
Well, and the thing is, especially during this pandemic, if we didn't have the technology that we have, it would be very hard to be in touch with people. Like I
Yeah.
told you, we haven't seen our grandsons for almost 2 years now, but we do Skype with them every weekend. And I told you what the little one said to me. I said, Sam, we haven't seen you for almost 2 years. And he looks at me and goes, we see you every Sunday on Skype. I said, I know, Sam, but I don't get my hugs and I don't get to do things with you. So he looks at me and he gets this really sad look on his face. He goes, I miss you too.
Yeah, I know.
But it's handy, but it's not the same. And, for these 2 years, because normally we go to Toronto for Passover, well, Mark ran the Seders on Zoom, which was better than nothing, but it's still, Yael and I sat in here with our glass of wine and our plate of matzah and our haggadahs. Mark would assign reading and stuff. Kim's parents were also at their house, and Kim's brother came to Mark's house, and one of his close friends came, and Elisa was on too. So we sort of had the family Seder, but it was not the same. It's just not the same. Mark did a good job assigning reading and stuff, and the boys did some reading too, which was nice. But it's not like being in the same room. So, but at least we could get together on Zoom.
Yeah. And I have a good thing to share with you today. I just got a phone call from a great friend of mine. His name is Evan Stern, and I've not talked to him in forever. And when he called, I was like, "Yes!" I was like, "Man, we got to catch up. It's been far too long." So he's going to work it out with I guess the scheduling and everything like that, and he's going to get with me later on. He's going to call me, but I was like, man, I got to tell you a lot of the great things that's happening here, man. I got to get you caught up and everything like that. So he's like, yeah, let me reach out to you. And then I was like, okay, great. So that was my great call today. And we just had another great call. One of my new connections I connected with, her name is Mary Ballinger.
Yeah, I saw that email.
Yeah.
That message. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Carla just had a meet and greet with Mary. So hello, Mary. We like to have you on board one of these live streams soon, and I believe today, hopefully, be the day that you come on, because she was truly amazing.
Oh, cool.
She really gets a lot of value out of it, because she said to us today, we don't do the same live stream twice. She gets a lot of different nuggets, a lot of different perspectives, and that really calls to her. And like I said, Mary, hopefully you'll join us. I sent you the live link to join us today. But we had a great and engaging conversation with Mary today, me and Carla did, and it was just great. And I said, I would love for you to be a part of this great and growing movement and community and mission and purpose that is bringing humanity together. So we'll see how that turns out, because like I said, that's what makes this great community and organization so unique. We're getting people and meeting them not only where they are, but we're getting them to a point that everyone has a place in this, and we understand that place. And when we see that place show up for us in the way that it does,
Mm-hmm.
and we meet people where they are, it's like I told Mary today. It's like your journey is interconnected to my journey. So what really turns out to be, it turns into our journey or our story, whatever however you want to look at it. And that's going to be truly powerful, because see, like I told her when I was talking with Carla, it's almost like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
And what we are building here is that very Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
And I was just so humbled and honored by the call. I mean, Mary I was literally to the point I was like, I wanted to break down and cry, because it really tugged on my heartstrings. because hearing from those people, and see, she was intentional with this, Sandy. She really takes time out of her day to watch our live streams. She may
Cool.
not be on it live, but she goes out of her way to say, "Hey, I'm going to watch conversations today, or I'm going to watch Share and Care." She takes that time, even on a replay, and that just meant the world to us. And we
Yeah,
both
no kidding.
thanked her, and I thanked her, and that's what I love about our conversations, that people are now recognizing it's adding value to them, even though it might be that one person. That one person may need it today, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I just have to turn off my security system so that when Yale comes home, it doesn't buzz.
All right,
I'll be right back.
no worries, no worries. So as we're waiting for Miss Sandy to come back,
There we go.
what we'll do.
Didn't take very long.
No, very good, very good. What we'll be talking about today is the other component of what we talked about yesterday when it comes to igniting creativity. What we were talking about yesterday is the environment part of it. And today we'll be going into the other part of it through Catherine Courage's great YouTube video that she spoke at TEDx Caído back in 2012 about the creativity factor and how to truly embrace that in a culture format that is in a business dynamic setting. So that's what we'll be talking about today, is that second component, because she brings up three key points. Yesterday, like I said, we're talking about the environment part of it, and today there will be another part of that too as well. We'll be talking about that soon, and I know Carla will be on here shortly, so she will be here ready and raring to go, and just to let you know, Sandy, even Miss Carla's in a good mood. So she has great news to share probably with you too as well. We'd take that offline, but she's even in a better mood today when we got off the call with Mary. She's like, I had a good day. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, good.
Well,
It's on my roof, and he's taking the leaves off.
oh,
Well, I phoned my Strata president yesterday, and I asked if Dave could come up there because I only have one drain on the roof up there, and we've had
rainwater.
Well, we've had tons of rain, and
Yeah.
if there's a lot of leaves and pine needles and everything around the edge of the drain, the water doesn't drain. So sometimes I go out and clean it up, and I have cleaned it up a bit. But the roof is so full of leaves right now, Chris, and it stopped raining right now, but it was pouring this morning.
You know they act. Do you have a regular gutter setting on your house?
I have gutters in different places, but
I'm saying, but is it like a traditional gutter though?
no, the one I've got inside my atrium, for example, has one of those tops on it, and so you just need to go like this and sweep the leaves off. It's really pretty cool.
Oh, you mean like a leaf fitter?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm about to say, if you had one of those, that would be great for you to have it if you didn't have it, because I see commercials on it. It's a great thing. You just push them off, and there you go.
My contractor, when he was doing something, I can't even remember what he was doing, he put that in there.
Oh, nice.
But I don't think it's in all our gutters. I just think it's in the one in the atrium, and I can reach that. I've got a ladder, and Yale and I get up there, and I just, clean it off. It's really easy. But there are so many leaves on the roof, I was very concerned. So I left a message for my Strata president yesterday because she wasn't home when I called, and asked if Dave could go up there and clean it up. It is his job to do it, Chris, but, I just figured, sometimes he does it and sometimes he doesn't. If the weather's okay, I don't mind going up there and cleaning it, and I do it sometimes. But the weather's been so crappy, excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just had so much rain.
Oh, I know.
We had a lot of wind. So, it's fall and we're surrounded by trees here. And so there's so many leaves up there that I just felt, he needed to get up there. So he's up there with a blower. So he's blowing the leaves off the roof. Well, that's fine. I don't care as long as they're gone. Because it's just worrisome to me that, the water's not draining off the roof. And it's a flat roof. It isn't like, it'll just drain off on its own. It's a flat roof. So that drain needs to be open. So, anyway, I'm very glad that she took care of that for me and called Dave and had him up there. So
And there is Miss Carla.
Hi, Carla.
Hey, guys. They had the bridge blocked for construction, and they were letting cars through.
Oh, jeez. That was the holdup?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's okay. I got home and got my lazy coworker settled, and I'm good to go.
But guess what?
What?
Sandy's got good news. She can now have access to her emails.
They finally got it fixed yesterday, Carla. I haven't had my business email for almost a week.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So when I opened it up yesterday, when they finally was good, I got like 700 emails. Yale said to me, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." So I haven't quite finished going through them yet.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing for her. And I did.
Well, it's a good and a bad thing. Hopefully there's a lot that you can just sort through.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of them I'm just deleting. But, because it just depends what they are. A lot of them I sort of took care of because a lot of them are emails from my social media profiles, telling you that somebody sent you a message or, whatever. And I've already taken care of that because I just went on the social media profiles and took care of all that stuff.
I got to figure out how to take that off because I'm sick and tired of getting a message that somebody messaged me on LinkedIn. I know that. I'm on it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm ahead of you, Google.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's in my LinkedIn settings. I gotta work on that.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, it was so worrisome, Carla, because I couldn't get my business emails and I couldn't log into it online either. So the whole thing was just a mess. But apparently that's all fixed now. So
I'm writing myself a note.
I'm glad that it's finally fixed because this was very frustrating.
But I did share with Sandy though of the call that me and you had with Miss Mary just a little bit ago and everything, and that call was just amazing.
Yeah, we can fill you in more on that later.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yes, it was.
It's fun when people pick up on our passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won't give away all the secrets since we're live.
No, what secrets? What are you talking about? Secrets? Do we? Oh, I don't know anything about that. But yeah, we're just so humble and honored to get this another conversation started. And what we'll do is going into that second component of the video from Catherine Courage from yesterday's call. And we went over environments yesterday, and we're going into the second segment of what she's bringing to the table. So here is Catherine Courage from her TEDx conference video from TEDx Quito in 2012 about igniting creativity in a corporate culture. So here is Catherine Courage from 2012.
Environment is the foundation for creative thinking. A second way that we can all ignite creativity in our workplace is through experiments. But the problem we have is we are so laser focused on execution, on process, on efficiency, that we're missing the opportunity for innovation. We create cultures where we are afraid to fail. And as a result, we do the same thing again and again and again because it's what we know and it feels safe. But we aren't able to innovate by repeating the same thing. We get trapped in this cycle of micro improvements, of incrementalism, and missing out on that great opportunity for creative innovation. Go back to your childhood. There was no one way to build a tower of blocks, or to make a fantastic creation from Play-Doh, to build a snowman after a snowfall. And if we failed, it was okay. It was part of the process. We need to bring this mindset back to the workplace. Thomas Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts before inventing the light bulb, but he saw this as part of the process. He said the light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. We need to embrace this mindset of experimenting. We need to learn to fail fast and fail early. We need to take our ideas and improve them and iterate them. This is how ideas go from good to spectacular. A really great way to do this is through prototypes. Prototypes are models created cheaply and quickly using everyday items. You can take these prototypes and you can show them to customers. You can explore a broad.
Hey, it's Jen. I know you said no, but they want you back full time.
Who's that? No one.
The most
broad array of ideas with prototypes. Throw away the ones that don't work and continue to refine the ones that do. It's the best way to experiment and fail fast, fail early. A really famous example of prototyping comes from IDEO, a design agency in Silicon Valley. They used this prototype made from a marker, a film canister, and a clothespin. And they brought it to surgeons. This prototype resonated so well with the surgeons that they were able to come up with a whole host of ideas of how to improve this surgical device and bring it to life. IDEO was able to use this great information and feedback to refine the idea and ultimately generate a real surgical device that tripled the client's revenue in this product space. So although experimenting and prototyping may in some way seem like child's play, it's actually driving real innovation and business success. A third way that you can all ignite creativity in the workplace is through storytelling. TED is the most fantastic example of storytelling.
So isn't that amazing when it comes to experiments? What's your thoughts on that, Carla?
Sorry about that. Nobody's going to come up with a perfect product the first time. So you have to start with square one, and you have to build whatever it is that you're producing, you know, whether it be a company that's putting out a new product, a surgical company that's offering a new tool to surgeons, a new apparatus to use in the dental field, a new way to doing things in the restaurant industry. You have to come up with a prototype, and it has to start with something very simple. They happen to use a clothespin and a couple other things, and you know, it could just be a drawing. And yeah, and someone has to be the first one to go. So it may not be a perfect thing, but you put it out there and you say, okay, so here's our basis. How can we grow on that? How can we make it better? And as a team, you come up with something that's going to work. And you may try it out. It may fall flat on its face, but you know what? You haven't failed. You've just figured out that you've got another way that you have to figure it out. You haven't gotten there yet. And too many people in this world will just throw in the towel and not continue to improve.
Miss Sandy, what's your thoughts when it comes to experiments?
I think that experimenting is a good way to go, because, you know, if you try something and it doesn't work, so you go, okay, fine, well, that didn't work, and you'll try something else. So, but I think we only can move forward if we try things. If we don't try anything, and again, like Catherine said, you know, doing the same thing over and over again, you know, and it's boring. You don't move forward. And sometimes there are better ways to do things. And if you don't try, you won't learn, and, you know, you just don't move forward. So I think it's really important to experiment and try different things, and to encourage people to do that. Because again, the people that are on the front lines are the ones that probably can come up with something that works better or is more efficient or whatever, because they're actually doing it. And that's where the listening comes in, Chris, because if we don't pay attention to what they're doing, then we miss opportunities, and we don't want to do that. Plus, we want to give them credit if it's something that we all decide is something that we should move forward with because it's practical or it seems to be better or whatever. And when the rest of the team hears it and sees it in action and agrees that it's something that we should do, then, you know, they're going to be more likely to accept it. So it's just a matter of people need to have the opportunity to try things. And I think when you don't offer that opportunity, you're stifling the creativity that people can have, and everybody can be creative. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Stifle it, then nobody will be. And then we lose. We really lose. Because again, you miss opportunities when you're not giving people the chance to try something new. So besides this, it makes your job more interesting if you have, you know, other things to do or to do something in a new way or whatever. Because otherwise, you know, you're a robot. That's not a very interesting life.
No.
And see, and this is what I do intentionally each and every single day that I go to my traditional job, and I basically have done it for many years. And the job that I've done, I will literally go out and find a new way to do something to see if it works. It's just like what Catherine Courage said about Thomas Edison. Uh, the light bulb was basically a journey of 1,000 steps, basically.
Of course.
And
Look at the airplane.
yeah,
Exactly. It's the same thing. I mean, we wouldn't have light bulbs if he hadn't kept trying. We wouldn't have airplanes if the Wright brothers didn't keep trying.
correct,
Mm-hmm.
correct.
You know, some things didn't work. So what? So they tried something else. You know, no biggie.
Or the car, you know?
Yeah, true.
Right. And see, she's got a great point about the repetition factor, because if we keep doing it and doing it over and over, eventually it's going to pan out one way or the other. And the more that we're so intentional with that we are going to do this, if that takes us 500 times, then so be it. It's 500 times. But I'd rather be 500 fails, but it's not necessarily fails. It's opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow. And I'll go back to John C. Maxwell, and I just love just these two words, failing forward.
Because the only way you're going to fail is if you give up.
Correct.
I think of them as attempts.
Right.
That attempt didn't work. You figure out another way of action. You add to it. You revise it. You try again, and you try again, and you try again. And just because it's not the perfect thing, even though let's just say the car is perfect right now, it is in this moment, but it can always be better. So we're not there yet. So this attempt is the attempt that we're using right now. We're not, and it's not the final, because there's always room for improvement.
And I see, ladies, I always look at anything that I do is always room for improvement. Even in a business, there's always room for improvement. And the more that we recognize that improvement is there, it's just like, I forget, there was a LinkedIn post a long time ago that I saw, and they did a kind of chart about leaders and growth and how they either plateau or they actually go further. And that might even be the John C. Maxwell one. I don't know. But what they said is once you get to that point that you go up and then you plateau and then you stay right there, those are the kind of people who literally after time start to drop off, and they just don't want to be a part of anything, and they just kind of go by the wayside, so to speak. But the people who are so intentional of wanting to grow more and to learn more, what they'll do is they go past those people on the plateau because they keep rising and they keep going. And that's a beautiful thing if you see that opportunity there. Because if I was going to fail forward, it's just like what Catherine Courage said, fail often and fail fast, you know? And more often than not, you just don't know about how many times it will take to get it to the right thing. It may take 10, it may take 10,000. You just never know. but are you intentional enough to go through those steps? And I will go back to this, and I've probably said it on a couple other different shows as well. I get more out of it, not from the end result dynamic and saying this is the milestone that we met, this is where we are at, great. But I get actually more out of it because it's the process and the journey. And you get more out of that because if you're about the journey, not necessarily about the destination, then you know how that goes. And let's see who is actually chiming in today. Robbing people of their futures is robbing them of their futures. And I want to say that's a Brianism, but let's see who actually said that, or if it was Graham. Let's see here. Let's see who. Okay. Miss Carla, who do you think said that?
I say it's Brian.
Miss Sandy?
I say Brian too.
You are absolutely correct. Mr. Brian did say that. That's a Brianism. Brian, please
come on
in, sir. We would love to have you.
Well, when you think of an organization and how we want to foster creativity, it's a process. And let's just say you have a problem to solve, and we all have input into it, and we may have 12 different people and a dozen different revisions or whatever. If we just say, nope, this is how we're going to do it, everyone else is going to do it the same way, we don't want to listen to any suggestions or anything, we're really killing people's creativity. And we're not listening to them, so your organization is not going to grow. You're probably going to end up falling on your face because you didn't take anybody's input into it. And then you expect people to listen to you and respect you?
Well, and the other problem with that is, Carla, that you're not giving people the opportunity to learn and to move forward and for the rest of us to benefit from that creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would like to squelch creativity or experimenting or whatever you want to call it, because it's the only way we move forward. It's also the way we learn. Even if you fail, Chris, doesn't matter. It's like making a mistake. It's an opportunity to learn. Well, that didn't work, so what else can we try?
Well, fail is such a negative word, though.
Yeah.
You know, failing a class. But actually, all it is an attempt that needs modifying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like, how do you look at it? The glass, half full or half empty? If you're going to call it a failure, everyone's going to think negatively about it. If you call it an attempt and we're working together to creatively come up with a solution to add to what we started to build with, you're going to get a lot more out of your employees, and it's also going to foster their creativity and their desire to want to participate.
Yeah, which you don't want to do. I mean, that's the last thing you want to do. I'm sorry I had to go outside. I had to go thank Dave for blowing the leaves off my roof. And I heard him just sort of down the road here, so I wanted to catch him before he disappeared. He blew all the leaves off my roof.
Well, and this is what I truly believe in. It doesn't really matter what word you use, but are you willing to embrace for what it is there for? So if you call it failure, are you willing to embrace the failure? I look at it as a positive because I deem it so. I looked at it as to a positive because the more you get into that mindset shift that you say, I am going to take that negative and turn it into a positive, that's going to work for you. But granted, not only as leaders, but as everyday people working in a collective team dynamic that is an organization, and even a community for that matter, you can say, hey, I will look at it, this is from an attempt from Carla or attempt from Sandy, because I'm meeting them where they are. Because if they deem it so to be a failure to them, I don't want to add on to that. I will say, hey, great attempt here. Love it. Got it. So how do we make the attempt better next time? How do we do that? But to me, everyone's uniquely different onto themselves because it's the way they not only show up, number one, but number two is how did they got to that point to where they succeeded in that one process or whatever, or even if they did that attempt and they did it very well, but didn't reach that end result. And so to me, again, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. How did they learn from that journey? They say, oh, okay, I got this A, B, and C better than I did when I did it back last week. The ABCs came to me a whole lot clearer and more clarity because I just let it kind of naturally fall into place. Because more often than not, and this is what I've learned, if you try to kind of force things on the people, and then let's like what's your point, Carla, what about you saying that if you really dig into the failure aspect of why they didn't accomplish something and you really drill it down home to them, that's not going to be a good enforcement, a positive reinforcement to them, because they're going to say, hey, why do I want to do this now? I'm always getting the bad negativity out of this. So why do I want to do what I want to do? It's not going to be helpful. But when you frame it in a better context that connects with them on their deep, meaningful human level, not only to them, but to you, that's how you can create that smarter creativity. Because if you let them be who they are and don't try to manipulate or add or subtract or anything, but still keep a framework of responsibility and accountability there, let them breathe within inside of that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I hear you say that it doesn't matter what you call it, but then you're basically saying it does matter what you call it. I think if you refer to it as a failure, people are going to think negatively of it, and that's going to shut down creativity, as opposed to saying, hey, we're getting there, we're not quite there, what else could we do differently to address this angle or that angle to improve upon it, of what we're trying to do, whatever our project is.
If you encourage people to get involved, because it's like Chris said, you impose things on people, it's never comfortable.
No.
But if they're involved in the process and they have input in the process, they're far more likely to buy into it and to agree to it than when it's imposed upon them. And, in addition, if you let them know that, listen, we're looking for some new approaches. So if you guys have ideas, please bring them to us. We want to hear them. And encourage people to think of things that might be better, or, even a new service we could offer, or a new product that might go along with what we're already doing. And because if you don't encourage them to be creative and to be contributory, then again, you miss opportunities, because most people would have ideas, but if they don't feel they're going to be listened to, or they don't feel that anybody's going to move forward with it, why would they bother? So, and if it doesn't work, well, so what? We learned that this doesn't work. Let's try something else. So who else has another idea? And it's just a matter of getting your people involved so that we don't wipe out creativity and experimentation. Yeah, that's exactly it, Chris. We got to listen, because if we don't listen, we don't learn anything. And then we can't handle our team very well. It's very, very important that they feel appreciated. And when they come up with something that we use, that they get the acknowledgement, because there are some people that just take it for themselves. Well, we don't want to do that. We want to give them credit because they came up with an idea that's kind of cool. And let's thank them, and let's move forward, and let's make sure that everybody knows that it was their idea. So it's just, how are you dealing with your people? It all boils back down to that. And if you are discouraging experimentation and creativity, then once again, you miss opportunities, because people will have ideas. And if they're not encouraged to share them, we miss out. So it's really important to encourage them to come up with things that they think might be better, or that we should add to the process, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But we want them to know that we're listening. We want to hear what you have to say, or what you have to contribute, or so on and so forth. And when they know that they're going to be heard, there's a far better chance that they will offer things. Exactly. Well, he always comes up with good stuff.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah. But I mean, that's really true. I mean, if you don't feel good about yourself, why would anybody care? So
Yeah.
it's just, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It doesn't help. So we don't want to go down that road for sure.
For sure. Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, I was sharing that with you guys while I was doing that. But I believe that's truly powerful. Is if you are wanting to lead, and if you said yourself that if you wouldn't follow yourself, why should anyone else follow you? You basically are answering your own question to a certain extent, because if you wouldn't even follow you, then why do you expect others to follow you? And I believe if we can create that environment that will create that better result, I believe that's truly just awesome. But again, I will go back to what Brian said. Robbing people of their failures is robbing them of their futures. And I believe that. And that's a big thing, because see, you're robbing them of the great opportunities, potential of growth, thriving ability, you name it. Everything will be literally grabbed from them, and they will never get that back unless you give it back to them in one way, shape, or form. And I believe if you're not willing to give that to them, it's just like I was going to say this earlier. When we're in school, did the teachers rob us of our creativity when we were in school? No, because it was there for that intent. But then now, why do we do that in our workplace environment, that we literally take that from people for whatever rhyme or reason that they're doing? I believe if you can create that dynamic that puts that power in a two-folded dynamic, that everyone has a part to play in that everybody shares in that, I believe it fosters a great wealth of knowledge, insight, clarity, because movement comes from clarity. And it creates that spark that sometimes when you're in that kind of rut of ruts, and you see that light bulb moment out of the blue, and you're like, wow, how did that come about? And sometimes that's what it takes. You just let things be.
Well, I think the mindset of stifling creativity came from long ago, when the assembly lines came into being, and you're there to get a job done. This is how you're going to do the job. You're not going to alter from that at all. You're going to do it this way, because that way we can get our output the way that we want it. We want the outcomes the way that they're supposed to be. And nobody was allowed to give any creativity to the situation. And it went on and on and on. It grew throughout the years.
So let me ask you this then, Carla, on that very point. In today's business world, do you believe that creativity has to have a balance with said output? Do you see that natural balance being there?
Oh, it definitely does. It definitely does, because there's always better ways to do things. I mean, 40 years ago, 50 years ago in nursing, we did things a particular way. And through trial and error, we've come up with better ways of doing it. Practices that we had 40 years ago, we're not currently doing. We've had evidence-based research to back that up, that we don't do it that way. It's not as effective as it used to be. There are better ways of doing it. And that only goes through only comes about through letting go of what we've always done it that way. So we're going to continue to do it that way, and starting to do things differently and trying new things and going, well, that didn't quite work. It didn't give us quite the outcome we wanted, but we could add to this, and we could do this, or we could modify that. Try it, see if it works. I always say that you don't fail. The only way to fail is to quit. And that if you're, if Sandy, this, how tough it was when you started your first business, and you tried things and they didn't quite work. So you modified it, and then you modified it again. And then they came up with a different way of doing it. I mean, look at social media. If you're doing social media for your business, it's we're not doing it the same way that we used to do it. And every time you turn around, there's a new way to do it. There's new rules on LinkedIn, what you can and can't do, and what the best way is to have exposure and different things like that. It's all a learning process. If you just fail because, if you just said, well, I'm just going to do it the same old way that I've been doing it for 10 years on LinkedIn, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to change with the times and try new things.
Well, I told you when I started, I was using transparencies.
Mm-hmm.
One of the HR managers in one of the big law firms took me aside at the end of a lunch and learned. She said, Sandy, you're looking old fashioned. I went, what? And then she said, you got to learn PowerPoint. I said, what's PowerPoint? So, but it's a very steep learning curve when you start out something, and you have to learn what you have to do in order to be, effective. And, again, I didn't start out with a website either. I didn't realize that, everybody goes here and Googles everything. And then I discovered that I needed to have a website, and it had to have good SEO on it, which is why I've worked with Nathaniel since 2003. And it's just a matter of, it's a very steep learning curve, especially for older people who didn't grow up with the computers and all that kind of stuff. But it's just something that you have to learn these different things, because it just is what it is. And that's the way things work today. And you can leverage these things to help you in many ways if you figure out how to use them appropriately. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of sometimes just getting some help. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So, when I was teaching in the entrepreneurial program at BCIT, I told the students, I said, when you make up your budget for your business, you need to have a pretty robust line for your website. Because if you can't do it yourself, you need to get somebody who knows how to do this. And the SEO on it has to be really good, because people generally Google everything now. And if they can't find you, you don't exist. It's just how it is. And so you need to make sure that if you're not into this kind of stuff, that you get somebody to help you with it, so that you will be noticed and people will find you, because that's really where it is today. I had to learn that, and I had to learn it the hard way. And it just, it was what it was, but it's okay. My kids think it's really funny, Carla, of what I can do on my website now. They think it's hysterical.
Yeah. Well, no matter what it is you're doing, if they say every master was once a disaster, you got to get out there and be that disaster to begin with. It's the only way you learn,
That's right.
And if you have a supportive team of people that you work with, that you can sound off of and say, hey, I was planning on going out and meeting with this particular person, and now they want an email. What would you think would be the best thing to send to where I don't overload them with information? Those kind of things, you have to learn different ways of doing things, and you have to learn from other people that have been down that road.
Yeah. Well, even now, using Zoom and some of these other platforms that people use for webinars and meetings, you have to learn how to use them too. And they're all different. And, some of them have breakout rooms. Usually they have to use a chat box to talk, but there are some platforms where they can actually talk to each other in the breakout room. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of finding these different things that you can use and then learning how to use them. Mm-hmm. Because like the one I did last Friday, I had a lot of trouble with their platform. And so in the end, what happened was the gal was my contact. I sent her my PowerPoint and she put it up, and she's changed the slides for me. I couldn't get it.
More than one way to skin a cat.
Well, that's right. So you have to do what you have to do. So Jennifer, we talked about it, and she said, I can follow you. And she said, if you want to change faster, just, wave at me or something. And
scratch your head.
Yeah. So, it went fine. And it was just a matter of, again, using these different platforms, because the last one I did at BCIT, they also used a different platform. And so I had to learn how to use that one too. And Rob was very good. He had me practice ahead of time so that I was able, when I had to upload my PowerPoint and get it going. But it's just a matter of, there are so many different platforms out there now. And in different situations, some platforms are better than others. It depends what you're trying to do. And It's just a matter of understanding that these are things you have to learn. Whether you like it or not, you have to learn it. Because again, if you don't use some of these things, like I was told, you look old-fashioned, like get with it. So, okay, I've had to do that. I'm old, but I'm still willing to learn, and I don't mind learning things. So that's also a good thing. As I said, my kids think it's hysterical what I do. So, Mark can't believe what I can do on the back of WordPress. He can't believe it. He says, Mom, you're old. And I said, yeah, I know, but I've had to learn. I didn't really have a choice here. I actually figured out how to use the blog thing and how to store blogs back there. I figured it out myself, Carla.
Oh, really? Good for you.
So, Mark couldn't believe that. He said, you figured that out? I said, yeah. How did you do that? I said, well, I experimented a little bit. I told you guys, I even added a page, and I figured out how to put it under the right category on my, you can do these things. It's just a matter of having the mindset to do it.
Yeah, and then you can figure it out.
Yeah. WordPress is a very good platform.
Mm-hmm.
It is fairly easy to use. I told you that when I first had my website transferred onto it, I had a local person do it. I didn't have Nathaniel do it. And she came to my house and showed me how to use the back end. She didn't show me how to use the blog, but she showed me how to do a lot of other things on the back end. And I actually emailed her and said, guess what? I figured out how to do the blog. So she phoned me. She said, you did? And I said, yeah, it's not that hard. But it's just a matter of, if you don't try things, you'll never learn anything. And, we need to keep moving forward and growing and learning and so on and so forth. And there are always better ways to do things. So if you don't try different things, you won't find better ways to do things. So you're missing out.
Yeah. Well, I was asking my son something about WordPress and web design and pages and stuff like that. And, in WordPress, they have the parent page, and then they have a child page or a sub page. And he looked at me. He's in IT. Okay. And he actually created his own website. And it's one that just kind of starts at the top and you just scroll through it. It doesn't flip pages or anything. And he's looking at me like, what are you talking about? At the same time, he's looking at me like, you know about this? Yeah. And you have to learn it,
You do. They're just really at this stage of our lives with the things that we're trying to do. You have to learn this stuff. You must.
Google's a wonderful thing,
Well, or else you might as well just give up, and shut down your business and be done.
No, I'm not doing that. I just learned how to do reels on Instagram. And I learned that you could actually transfer them over to the Facebook reels too. So, cool, they're fun.
My daughter uses Instagram. I don't use it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's okay. I figure I've got enough going there. I don't need to use Instagram too. So,
yeah.
I've got LinkedIn. I've got Alignable or whatever the heck it is, and I've got Twitter, and I've got Facebook. And, it's enough as far as I'm concerned.
See, I need to talk to you about Twitter because I don't use Twitter. So.
Well, it's just, I don't like a lot of these things, but I know that if you're not there,
people don't see you.
No. And I've kept my profiles very professional. I don't have any stupid stuff on there.
Me too.
The only pictures I have are, you have your picture of you. But then the other pictures I have, and I have a few, are me either giving a workshop and it shows me in front of an audience, or it's me at some of my book promos. But other than that, I don't have any pictures on these profiles because I really, and I won't connect with somebody that's got pictures of them with their boobs hanging out or their, all their stupid stuff. And I look at them and I go, why have you put this up on the internet? Are you nuts? It's crazy.
You do a class with people on looking for jobs, and the first thing you need to do is clean up your profiles.
Yeah, because when I teach interviews, I tell them the first thing that a recruiter does is they Google you and they look at your social media profiles. And if you have a lot of stupid stuff up there, you might not even get the interview. So it's just a matter of clean it up. There are things that you should have up there, and you can have blogs up there. You can have all kinds of things that are professional. And that's what you should be focusing on. Otherwise, don't put stupid stuff. Like, nobody cares that you're in a restaurant eating something.
Well, don't put pictures on there that you're at the bar doing shots all night long.
Exactly.
That's not showing you can be responsible,
Yeah. But that's what a lot of people do. They put a lot of stupid stuff up there. And I just figured, I'm only using this for business. That's the only reason why I'm using social media. So
I use food sometimes because I show people that they can go out to restaurants and have healthy food.
Okay.
Where you can make it at home and it can be healthy, but yeah.
But it's just, go ahead, Chris. You've got your finger up there.
I want to share this with everybody because I think it's going to be very tied into what we're talking about when it comes to creativity. And this comes from John C. Maxwell. I want to bring it up here. And I will just let it run and let John C. Maxwell say it for himself. And this is from
If you see the need, but
all right. So here we go. Here's John C. Maxwell.
If you see the need, but you don't have the leader to lead it, you'll never meet that need and you'll never build your business. Everything begins with a leader, and you develop that leadership culture. If you see the need, but you don't have the leader to lead it, you'll never meet that need and you'll never build your business. Everything.
So
everything
isn't that
starts with the
amazing?
leader and the culture.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on that, Sandy?
It's absolutely true, Chris, because again, if we're not developing things and moving forward, then we're standing still. And that's just not a good place to be. You have to keep growing. I mean, that's why what I decided to do with my business, very few trainers do. Most trainers don't customize like I do. They have a workshop for a topic, and then they feel it's consistent because no matter who they send out in the company, it's going to be the same workshop. But that doesn't usually work for the client because it depends what their specific needs are. And a generic workshop doesn't necessarily address the needs that either a person that you're coaching or an organization that you're trying to help needs. And that's why I do what I do. And I've worked with a lot of different trainers, and I know a lot of people who do what I do, but they don't customize the sessions. They just have a workshop for that topic, or maybe they have two. And when they go out and deliver that topic to a company or to an organization, they just take what they have. I pretty much never do the same workshop twice, unless it's in the same company to different groups of people, because it's not appropriate. It doesn't work for them. It has to be what they're looking for. And that's why you have to have a discussion interview, and you have to listen very carefully. I always make notes. And then you can put together a program that is going to meet those specific needs. And then your client will be happy because then they're getting what they need. And that's why I get repeat business. And as I told you yesterday, some clients even refer other clients to me because they're so happy with what I did for them. So it's just a matter of, what are you doing? And I didn't know this until I started to get into it and got feedback that, that wasn't quite what they were looking for. And I told you one company I work for, that's what I get every time I do a workshop for them. And I mean, the content that this person puts into the workshops is very good, but if it isn't specific for what they're looking for, it doesn't matter because then it's not what they want. So you have to listen very carefully to what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And once you do that, then you match them up with the elements that are going to address those needs so that they will walk away with something that's going to be beneficial for the problem that they are facing, whatever it may be. So, again, not rocket science, but it's just a matter of listening and finding out very specifically what they are looking for so that they will be happy when you deliver the lunch and learn or the half-day workshop or whatever it is, because you're going to give them what they want. And that's why I send the HR person a bunch of elements and let them pick the ones that they think are going to work best for them and be most beneficial to their people. And once they do that, then I put together the program and the fully documented syllabus.
Well, to me, it's a difference between doing a presentation and truly serving your clients. It's like being in a chorus. You can learn all the tunes, you can learn all the notes, you can learn how the songs go, and you're presenting to somebody. It's comfortable for you, and not to say that you're not comfortable in what you're doing, but there is that sense of being comfortable to, okay, I'm doing presentation A today, I'm doing presentation C today, and I know exactly how it's going to go. Whereas what you're doing is so tailored to what every company does. Yeah, there might be similarities between company B and company C, but you're tailoring things specifically to what their needs are. And you're making it different every time you go out, unless it's the same presentation, just say maybe a branch office of a corporation. Maybe they have 10 offices and you're going to all 10 of them. Then yeah, there's going to be some similarities, and I'm sure that there's also going to be a few, things that aren't quite as similar, because I'm sure that you make every presentation different.
I've just found that it works better.
Mm-hmm.
That, when you actually meet the specific needs of the organization, then they're going to be.
That's what you're there for.
Well, exactly. But
to serve the organization. It's not about you. It's about serving the organization.
Exactly. And if you're not providing them with what they need, then, they're not going to be very happy to pay you. So it's a matter of really discovering what they are specifically looking for. Because, as you know, Carla, somebody contacts you and they want a stress management workshop. Mm-hmm. Well, that's lovely, but there's so many different things that cause stress. I need to know what's causing stress.
Yeah.
But I can make sure that we're going to offer them some strategies that will help them to deflect this stress. So, I can do a generic stress workshop. And I was working in dentistry because I'd worked in dentistry so long, and because stress is such a huge issue there, I usually could put together a program that was going to deal with what they probably were dealing with, being as I'd been there for a long time and knew the kind of issues. But I would still ask, do you have difficult patients? Do you, are those some of the things that you're wishing to address? Okay, no problem, But it's
every conversation that I have with people that I help, they all have their own different needs that they bring to the table, and we address those individually for them. And it's there's some basic information that transcends all parts of your life, but it's tailored to them.
Well, and it needs to be. It really needs to be, Carla, because if we don't listen to our new prospects and find out very specifically what they want, we're not going to help them very well. We're really not. And so it's just very important to have that discussion interview that I like to have. Because we need to find out what they want. And if we can find that out, then we can customize a program that's going to be beneficial to them, and then they're going to be very happy. Because again, adults learn when they see a need. And if they see that, the things we're showing them are going to help them overcome whatever they're struggling with, then they're going to use it.
Right.
Or bless you, or it even sparks that creativity within them after we show them what we are showing them, because it's like what Brian said just a little bit ago. Creativity is constant learning. And then he also said creativity could be the exploration into what's possible. And I completely agree with both of them, because if you show people what is achievable or possible, or what can be there for them, it's going to really resonate with them on that deep, meaningful human level. And then once they have that light bulb moment, sometimes that light bulb moment just don't stop with them. It goes on to Carla. It goes on to Sandy. It goes on to Graham. It goes on to Brian. It goes on to Mary. It goes on and on and on, because it becomes contagious, because then everyone sees that spark. And then once they get involved, it's just like, going back to what that Derek Seaver's video about the movement. He was starting to do the dance, and then other people started doing the dance, and then everybody started to dance. That's how that gets started. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Carla?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you should mention that. But, do you ever have those times in your life where you're talking about a particular topic or concept or whatever, and then you go and do life in another corner of your life, and all of a sudden that same concept will just pop up? I when you were talking about that video, it's funny. It reminded me of a couple of weeks ago. I was listening to a podcast, and I heard that video being used again about what it takes to start a movement, and it starts with one person with a vision that shows that vision to somebody else, and then the next person picks up, and then the next person picks up. Next thing you know, you've got a whole group of people together in a movement. You're muted, Chris.
Miss Andy, your thoughts?
Well, I think, it's definitely true, Chris, that, if something gets started and, the team is sort of involved, then it turns light bulbs on in other people's heads too. And then you have a whole group of ideas that you might want to explore. And some of them might be better than others, but still you're going to have a whole group of ideas. And there's nothing wrong with that, because, you might even want to use all the ideas depending on what they are. But if you don't encourage that and let people know that you're listening and that you want to hear what they're interested in, and you encourage them to come up with ideas and experiment and improve things any way they think would be appropriate, then you're going to have input. And if people feel that they are listened to and that what they come up with actually goes into practice, then we're going to have great opportunities. But if you stifle that, you miss opportunities, and then people won't want to be creative. They won't want to come up with ideas. They won't want to experiment. They'll just turn into a bunch of robots. And that's not a very good way to run a business.
Well, I just love this quote here, and it goes like this: people with purpose, goals, and visions have no time for drama. They invest in their energy in creativity and focus on living a positive life. And I guarantee you, this is another Brianism, but I will find out and see. It's a matter of where people place their attention and what they give consideration to, and I will check to see if that's a Brianism or not. But I believe that's got to be a Brianism, because he's always bringing value every single time. And yep, that is a Brianism.
What a surprise.
That is a good one. That is absolutely a good one.
I wish he'd come on.
Brian has the link. The links is already in the platform, so I guess he's probably doing two things at once. You know how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a whole lot of patience for people that bring drama into the workplace and negativity. I like that quote. I prefer to be positive and creative and helpful for other people, and I love helping other people grow. So, it's amazing. I have so many conversations on LinkedIn, and, we kind of, where you're from, what do you do? What do you do for fun? You talk about all these different things, and, they may like what I do. I may not like I might like what they do. We talk about that. And then when I ask them, so, hey, what can I do to help you out on LinkedIn with your business? They're like, I don't know. Nobody's ever asked me that before, which is a shame, because we're all on LinkedIn to network with one another. And so why not help each other grow? There's no competition per se. There's plenty of people in this world to serve with whatever we all have going. But, it might be a referral to somebody to help them with their marketing for LinkedIn, or help them with their social media, or whatever, but it's like, how can I help you? And I'll ask them, do you do posts on like Sandy, you do blogs and you'll post those on LinkedIn. Do you do informational type stuff? Do you give value or whatever? And because I'd be happy to share your articles with people. And, you know, if they're just like at a loss because they're not used to people asking them, what can I do to help you? Like, I didn't call you, I didn't connect with you necessarily to make a sale, you know?
I have a friend in Greece that I met on LinkedIn who's a specialist in how to make your LinkedIn profile more attractive in terms of attracting business and attracting contacts and that sort of thing. And Dennis is really good at this. We've had many conversations. In fact, I just had one with him last week. And, you know, I've known him for years and he's so good at this. And he's such a nice guy. I mean, he really is. And I keep telling him, you know, one day you got to come here. And he got married a couple of years ago, and I've met his wife too, and she's really lovely. He was very close to his grandfather, and very sadly, shortly after I met him, his grandfather died. And it was very hard on Dennis because he was very, very close to his grandfather and spent a lot of time with him and learned a lot from him. And so it was really tough for him. But yeah, Emily's lovely, and she works with Dennis. We've had conversations too. And they're a lovely couple. And I told Dennis, I said, one day you and Emily have to come here. I'll show you around.
Yeah. You know, that's quite something when a husband and a wife can work well together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like what Brian just said here too as well. He says it's a matter of where people place their attention and what they give consideration to. And that's absolutely true. So let's wrap it up and get our final thoughts and our call to action and go from there. And I will start with you, Miss Sandy.
Well, I really think, Chris, that again, this boils down to the kind of internal culture that the organization has. And I think if you have a culture that is respectful and supportive and encouraging and acknowledging, and that you encourage your people to think outside the box and to come up with things that are going to be beneficial and more efficient and so on and so forth, then I don't see why, if we're listening and we give them credit for what they do, that they won't be creative. Because again, I agree with Catherine, and I think everybody's creative. It's just a matter of encouraging it so that happens. And it really boils down to the kind of culture that the organization has. And again, as I've said before, the leadership of an organization needs to commit to creating and maintaining an internal culture that is respectful, supportive, encouraging, and acknowledging. And if they can do that, they're going to have a far better business because they're going to do well and they're going to last a long time. And they're going to have very little turnover because their employees will be happy because they will feel appreciated and valued, especially if they give them training and pay for it and stuff like that. So, you know, I just think it boils down to the kind of culture you have.
Miss Carla?
I would say if you're sitting here thinking, well, I don't know about my work culture, are they open to creativity or not? Don't be shy. Make recommendations for change. Go to your leadership and say, hey, I kind of see a problem in this area. I've got a great solution for it. And if you find that they're very closed-minded and not allowing you to foster your creativity or even make suggestions, even if it's a common sense suggestion that doesn't require a whole lot of creativity, take that as a red flag. How's that for a call to action? Red flag time. Know your red flags.
Penalty on the field. holding people back.
Hey, I like that analogy.
I agree with that 100%. And for me, my final thoughts is this. When we experiment every day in every way, shape, or form possible to spark that not only inner creativity, but that goes outwardly too as well, that other people have those light bulb moments and they see it. Oh, Carla's doing this. Sandy's doing that. Mary's doing this. Anno's doing, and see, it creates that kind of domino effect. But when we are willing to step forward into that and be intentional about it, but don't give up on it, just understand there's going to be a good day, there's going to be a bad day. That's the nature of life. There's always a natural balance to that. And my call to action is simply this: never stop creating the creativity that you have. And just like what Brian just said here, stop waiting for others to create for you. And that's absolutely true, Brian. You're the creator of your own life and your own destiny and your own path. But people can be that guide with you, or you can be a guide with them, but recognize that can be there for everybody if you just allow it to occur. So that would be my call to action. And great call to action, Brian. We greatly appreciate you, and Graham too as well. So again, everyone, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to enjoy this great and engaging conversation held by us every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Please don't hesitate to share this with your family and friends, and even watch this on the replay. And we'd love to hear from you. If you even have any show topics, please send them our way, and we would love to even have a great one-on-one discussion with you to see how this fits into you, and if you want to be a part of that, we would love to have that with you. So, Carla, just want to give you one tidbit. I will have the last piece of the video from Catherine Courage tomorrow, and that will be the last component of it. So wherever you want to work that in, let me know.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, sounds good. Have a good evening, everybody.
All right. Thank you. Have a great one, everyone.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.